Once again, leading off this Wednesday by saying a big thank you to everyone who continues to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It's only $1 per month. That's the lowest allowable level. It's the only level. Fully refundable. Up to 90 days, we can partner with Vimeo, where we take the gloves off and we can talk about things in an adult way, where we don't have to worry about censorship. The most recent video we put up over there about a day or two ago addresses a controversial topic, the whole flat earth, globe earth thing, but we take it to another level. Why is it so particular with some people that others believe the way they do? And why does it become an emotional issue? That's what we deal with, and it gives us some insight. But recently we've been talking a great deal about Antarctica, both here and at the Florida Maquis Alpha site. I thought we would take a little bit of a break today and deal with what's happening in the real world. Everybody can't stop talking about the midterms, the red wave that's coming. Even the Democrats are admitting it. It seems like nothing the left does now works. Everything they touch turns to crap, and they can't seem to do anything about it. It's going to be a crushing defeat, but I would like to warn those of you getting too excited about this, because there are going to be consequences. A huge lurch all the way over to the right is going to have some unforeseen events that not a lot of people intended. They're thinking, well, gosh, we're going to go back to constitutional government and good moral value, and anything's got to be better than Joe Biden is still going to be president. And we're still going to have that embarrassment. And the things going on in the world, those aren't going to change. You see, they really still believe it's about a communication failure. Economy, crime, and, quote, a huge communication failure are to blame for Democrat woes, Times writer says. Absolutely not. In fact, there hasn't been a communication failure. There has been perfect communication for the last 2 years. The Democrats have taken the mask off, and they have clearly stated who they are, what they want, and what their aims are. There's no mistaking them now, and everybody remembers what they went through in 2020. All of the angst, all of the worry about government getting involved in their personal lives. But on the other side of the coin is super turbo hyper capitalism, meaning we're going to completely let laissez-faire take over. Anything that makes money, anything that can be bought or sold, we're going to let the market determine. We are going to let any economic activity reign supreme no matter what. That's what we need. We need to restart that engine. There's been all these supply chain hiccups, and there's been hyperinflation, and everything's been too expensive. Well, we need to get people buying more things, and that'll bring the prices down, and everything will be better again. But there's going to be other issues as well. Up to 8,000 serious offenders to be released early from prison. You see, every time this happens, every one of these individuals you see released, that is a whole bunch of extra money in the bank accounts of government. That's one person they don't have to feed 3 meals a day. That's someone they don't have to provide health care for anymore. All of the different things that go into running a prison, you let these people out, you let them do whatever, it's back on us now. They don't have to pay for them. Now, some might ask, what does this have to do with anything? Well, can you see no better representation of capitalism than this? Whatever feels good, whatever you can afford, whatever you can buy, that's what you do. If sitting in the giant chair eating pizza every single day is what you want to do, and you can help your local pizza place make a profit doing it, and you can keep Big Pharma making tons of profit selling you all sorts of drugs that you need to maintain yourself alive to live like this, capitalism, capitalism, capitalism. 101. No moral qualms whatsoever about anything. If you can afford it, you can get it. Believe it or not, there is one of the strangest stories I have ever read out. 24 October 2022. Weight loss patients warned prescriptions for Ozempic or Trulicity may not be filled. Now, you would think Ozempic or Trulicity were weight loss drugs. Weight loss is just a side effect. As weight loss patients and people with type 2 diabetes compete for two popular drugs that are in short supply, Federal Health Minister Mark Butler has acknowledged it is a very challenging situation. Mr. Butler's spokesperson said after a sudden spike in demand caused by global shortage of Ozempic and Trulicity, the government was working to improve access. There are people taking diabetic drugs to lose weight. There are people taking drugs that are meant to help people manage diabetes simply to lose weight. You see, anything but changing your diet and exercise. Anything that allows you to continue to eat the pizza, continue to sit around and do nothing, continue to abuse yourself. If there's a drug that can do that, well, why bother doing anything else? Now, this is an Australian article, but at least they're using some common sense here. There's a story here in America, though, that it isn't out in the mainstream media yet, but it's going to be. It's on Army Times. It's supposed to be this feel-good story about this girl in Arizona, 19 years old, who wanted to join the Army, but she was too big. And so she goes into the recruiter and says, what do I need to do? And the recruiter starts her off slow, and they start running together, and she goes from 210 pounds down to 163, and that was the qualifying number just to get her into basic training. So 47 pounds. But that's not the story. The story is 163 was the heaviest that she could be at 5 foot 8 inches tall and 19 years old. So she had to be 164 was the heaviest. She got 1 pound under to get in. Meaning that was where the Army would let her start her journey at, not the goal. Meaning that at 5'8", for a female, her goal should be somewhere around 145 to 150. So let's just say 150. That would make her 60 pounds overweight at 19 years old. 60 pounds overweight at 19 years old. You see, when you get older, and you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s, and you've had your whole life to make poor decisions, and you're that overweight, well, you can look at decades of poor decisions. This girl was only 19 years old and was already at 19, 60 pounds overweight. It's mind-boggling. Now, funny story, she's 5 feet 8 inches tall, 163 pounds. When I was in the Army as a guy, I was 5'10", 165 pounds. Meaning, when I say as a guy, I mean my weight standards were very different than what female weight standards are. Because you're a guy, you have more muscle, they allow you to be heavier. So, she's probably got a ways to go. She could probably in the military easily get 140, 5'8", 140, which would then make her have lost 70 pounds. But that's just stunning that in the very young life of this woman, other than the intervention of the Army, she was already 60 pounds overweight by the time she was 19. If she would have continued going, who knows? Who knows? I'll give you the chart. First pinned comment, usarmybasic.com. These are the female height and weight standards. Here are the male. Let's see. The maximum weight I could have entered by modern standards. Let's see. 70 inches. 100. I could have been maxed at 180 at 19 when I was 19 years old. But even at over 40, the most you can be at over 40 is 192 pounds for 5'10". You'd have to be 6 feet 10 inches tall to be 250 pounds. So Just saying. Some people look at images like this and they think, oh, man, why do they dress like that? But, well, isn't this capitalism? This is Wing House. This is the Florida version of Hooters. You see women that go do this every day for a living and stay in shape to do this. Maybe look one step deeper and see not just capitalism or, ladies trying to make some extra money. See perhaps role model, those who that could walk into a recruiting office and sign up and be fine. I mean, they've used this to sell the news for decades and decades. Why is it a problem anywhere else? You see, this is coming. This is coming. You mark my words. This crop of Republicans out there right now, this crop of conservatives, they aren't social conservatives. They're going to let whatever makes money go. And that's really the case. And one thing I would like to end with, and I know this seems very tangential, but we talked about for months and months and months and dropped it. The idea of if things really got bad, how we might see an uptick in some very immoral ways of earning money, primarily women. Isn't the NFL basically the same thing, just men? I've watched the NFL. So many of these guys do so much damage to their bodies for entertainment purposes only. The NFL is a giant entertainment platform. Some of these guys are going to spend the rest of their adult lives in wheelchairs and on crutches and on pain medication. You might say, well, Florida Maquis, they're adults. They make these decisions. The grooming for the NFL starts way back in junior high school. If there's a young man who's perhaps a bit taller, a bit stronger than his compatriots, they get him in the weight room, they get him training, they get him the reps, they get him the snaps, and if they continue to progress, they go through high school, and there's expectations every year of improvement, and then you get to the top levels in high school, and then the recruiters come from college, and they offer scholarships, and they offer all sorts of money and benefits, and then they end up in Division I schools. And then before you know it, they're being drafted into the NFL, and they have been groomed for it since they were 13, 14, 15 years old. Not a lot of people think about it because it's men in this context. And when they get to the NFL, the amount of damage that is done to their bodies is irreversible. 96% of NFL players have chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. Literally, they have brain damage from having played football for so long. If this isn't prostituting your body, I don't know what is. Half of them, leg and knee injuries. You should see what some of these guys are when they're 51, 52, 53 years old after they've been out of the league for 2 decades. We can do better. In fact, it's what the Constitution says we're supposed to do. A more perfect union. Not perfect, but more perfect. But it is something to think about. And I really would like my audience to take a minute and think about it. How is this where you start grooming basically boys, really, from the time they're 13 and 14 years old to play this violent game at a level way beyond what it's supposed to be played at? You start that grooming process all through high school, through college, and by the time they get into their mid to late 20s, they are already suffering major physical issues. And then by the time they're in their late 30s and into 40s, their career is over. And some of them will never be the same. Then the brain damage will be permanent. How is that not worse than this? How is that not worse than call girls or prostitution or whatever you want to call it. See, at least this is voluntary. And I mean, you can make arguments about, grooming this or grooming that or grooming the other. It's not as open as it is with the NFL. And you could talk about the NBA, but the NBA is not a contact sport like the NFL is. You can see guys playing basketball into their 40s, 50s, 60s. Not like they did in high school and college, for sure. But this is illegal. This is a crime. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry that everybody loves to watch. So, sometimes money ain't always the answer. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.